Chaitanyamanopistam staptam yena bhutale svamrupakadamayam dadati svapadantikam. Vandeyam shiru shiyuda padakamalam shigam vaishnavam sha shirupam zarajatam saganaragnatam pitam tam sajivam sukvetam savalutam parjana saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sinodina Bando Jyatpate Gopesha Goprakanta Radhakanta Namastate Taptakantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshri Vishabhana Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriye Pankha Kalpta Vishake Pasan Vevasha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So I'm very happy to be with you, and today I will speak on the importance of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam, if one becomes attached to hearing of the Bhagavatam, does the same as becoming attached to Krishna. And Sri Sanatana Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, he glorifies the Bhagavatam in his Krishna Lila staff, which Lila staff is a very nice work. And a part of this contains verses glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam, which those who are dedicated to the Bhagavatam, the study of the Bhagavatam, they usually chant these verses before reading the Bhagavatam. And I will just recite 2 of these verses, 5, 6, which are glorifying the Bhagavatam. So, Sri Sanatana Goswami, he wrote, Sarva Sastra Piyusa Sarva Vadeka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Trikpada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalitvanto Tita Titya Shri Krishna Parivaktita. Sanatana Goswami prays to the Bhagavatam. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you who are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of the Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna, who has returned among us. So Sanatana Goswami said, yes, Kali Yuga started, but Krishna is still there in the Bhagavatam. It's non-different from the Bhagavatam. But what is the history of the Bhagavatam? How did we get the Bhagavatam? The history of the Bhagavatam is explained by the Bhagavatam itself. There, in the 5th, 6th, and the beginning of the 7th chapter, the whole history of the Bhagavatam is described. And who is the author of Srimad Bhagavatam? Is Srila Vyasadeva. But Srila Vyasadeva, he wrote practically all Vedic scriptures. the Mahabharata, and of course the Ramayana, that and he wrote down the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra, that so many important works, and then so many Puranas. But after writing all this Vedic literature, he felt dissatisfied. He felt, yeah, I'm missing something. That's interesting. He wrote all this Vedic literature, and the author itself feels dissatisfied. But with us, if we read all this Vedic literature, will we be satisfied? So there was an issue here. And he was in the Himalayas meditating on this dissatisfaction he felt in the heart. And then suddenly a spiritual master appeared, Narada Muni. And it's like mystical. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 726, I know past, present, and future of all living entities. Is Trikalakya knows past, present, future. And in that same way, Narada Muni is also, he sees the future, he knows the past, present, and future. And he appears before Srila Vyasadeva. And interesting is, there is no conversation. Narada Muni knows what Srila Vyasadeva feels. And without introduction, he starts to address the dissatisfaction in his heart. He's saying that, O Vyasadeva, son of Parasar, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization? So he said, you wrote all this literature, that all this 80% of the Vedic literature is karma kanda. Karma kanda is to perform pious activities. And the reaction of the pious activities give enjoyment they give enjoyment for the body and the mind. But we are not the body and the mind. That when the body and the mind feel satisfied does not mean that the soul feels satisfied. That's not possible. The soul is transcendental, cannot be satisfied by anything material. So it says then, Narada Muni, you have prepared so many wonderful works, the Mahabharata, that all the Vedic scriptures. You have explained the impersonal Brahman, but in your heart you feel despondent, that thinking you are undone, my Prabhu, he says. But also, Narada Muni glorifies him at one side. He says, all what you have done has been done perfectly correct. But despite that, Srila Vyasadeva says, I'm not feeling pacified. Therefore, I'm searching what's the root cause of my dissatisfaction. And he addresses Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva. You are a man of unlimited knowledge. You are the son of Brahma. So please, explain what's that. Everything, there is nothing hidden for you, he says to Narada Muni. Because you worship the Supreme Lord, who is the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world. original personality of Godhead. That you can travel everywhere in space, in the material, in the spiritual worlds. You are practically as good as a super soul, Paramatma. Therefore, what is this deficiency in me? Please explain. And then Narada Muni speaks this verse, which is on the screen now. Sri Narada said, "You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. It will not give satisfaction to the heart, to the soul. That to feel, what does the soul want? It wants love. Give love and be loved. And that love is transcendentally expressed when it's directed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as long as we don't have that contact with the Supreme Lord through devotional service, we feel unsatisfied. So he said, yes, you missed the clue. You deviated. You gave people just scriptures for the satisfaction of the body and the mind. But you forgot the interest of our real self, the soul. So you should glorify the Supreme Personality of God. It's not that Srila Vyasadeva did not do that. It was there, but it was not pointed out as the most important. It was not pointed out as the ultimate goal. So therefore, it says, yes, you have not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord. So then, Narada Muni will explains in the Bhagavatam the importance of bhakti, and it will give a very powerful demonstration. He will tell the story of his own previous life, how by serving, how he was born as the son of a maidservant who happened to take care at a certain moment of Bhaktivedantas, great sages who could not travel during Chaturmasya and who were together. And they were constantly discussing the Bhagavatam. And little Narada heard it, and he was serving them prasad because his mother was cooking from them, and took their remnants and hearing constantly the Bhagavatam. And after 4 months, he became liberated. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. He was different from other children. He did not want to play and use. He became very sober. So he was initiated by these Bhaktivedantas. And then when they left, his mother died. She went to milk a cow in the middle of the night, and she was bitten by a cobra. She left her body. And Narada Muni saw this as the mercy of the Lord. Now I'm free, no family attachment. He performed the last rituals for his mother, and then went walking to the north. He came to so many countries and villages, and he chanted constantly Krishna's holy names. And finally, he got the perfection of life. At a certain moment, death, the experience of death was like a flash and lightning, and suddenly he was in his spiritual body. So this story of Narada Muni in his previous life shows the potency of bhakti. And then Narada Muni said to Srila Vyasadeva, now he said, you should meditate with devotion on the absolute truth. And with devotion on the absolute truth, and then the realizations you derive from them, based on these realizations, you should write the Bhagavatam. So, and in 3 verses, in the 7th chapter of the first canto, that Srila Vyasadeva, he describes his realizations. And they have, these verses have very long purpose by Srila Prabhupada. Because from there the whole Bhagavatam comes. So he was instructed by Narada Muni to meditate on the absolute truth with devotion. It is said here, 174. Thus he fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. And he saw the absolute personality of God along with his external energy, which was under full control. So Krishna says also in the 7th chapter, if you perform devotional service, you will know everything what is there to be known, that material or spiritual. So he fixed his mind with the linking it in devotional service. That's our link. We are the servant of Krishna, a part and parcel of him, and we link with Krishna, the absolute truth, with devotional service. But that devotional service must be without any tinge of materialism. The son Rupa Goswami says, without 2 witches you should avoid, bhakti and mukti. Bhakti, the sense of enjoyment, and mukti, wanting liberation from miseries. No, just acting out of devotion, nothing selfish, just giving. And then in 3 verses, he gives his realizations. Due to this external energy living entity, although transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature, thinks himself as material product, and thus he undergoes the reactions of material miseries. So he sees the material energy and the spiritual energy. And he sees in the material worlds, everyone is under the material energy and is in illusion, thinking they are the body. And then the material miseries of the living entities, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled his Vedic literature, which is in relation to the absolute truth. So the Bhagavatam is meant to explain us this linking process between us and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. that linking process, that is devotional service. Hooking up with Krishna. Like you have a mobile phone, it's connected. If it's not connected with the network, will your apps work? No. If we are not connected with Krishna, that we will never feel satisfied. And then simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling of loving devotion to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fear. So that's the side effect. You serve Krishna, and you get rid of lamentation, illusion, and fear. That one of the devotees, first devotees I met, was the old Gujarati Mahavishnu Goswami, who was living in London. And he used to say to me, you perform bhakti and you get rid of LIF, lamentation, illusion, and fear. So something always to remember that. So then Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam was then spoken later by his son Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit in the presence of many sages. And one of the sages who heard the Bhagavatam from Maharaj Parikshit was Sutta Goswami, who speaks the same Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimi Saranya. These sages were doing performing sacrifice, 1,000-year sacrifice, because they saw that Kali Yuga was coming. And they followed all these rituals to get to get piety and get rid of sinful reactions in the Vedas, the Karmakanda rituals and so on. But the atmosphere did not change. They did not get much benefit. In Kali Yuga, that doesn't work much. The only effect was that their bodies became black from the smoke. And then they addressed Sutta Goswami and asked him, that's Krishna. Krishna has left the planet. Now, where do we take shelter of? And then Sutta Goswami repeats the Bhagavatam which he heard from the lips of Sukadeva Goswami, who spoke it to Maharaj Parikshit. And in Sutta Goswami says in the Bhagavatam, I will tell you exactly the same thing as I heard from my spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. Because I heard the Bhagavatam from him, but I heard the Bhagavatam from him with rapt attention. How can you know you hear something with rapt attention? If you hear something with 100% rapt attention, it will be stored in your memory. If not, the attention is not 100%. So it's saying you should hear the Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention from the real person in the disciplic succession who has been an exemplary disciple of his spiritual master. And if you hear the Bhagavatam with rapt attention, at once you can realize the presence of Krishna in every page, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. So there are some conditions here, which is Because in this verse 44, Sukadev Goswami said, I will tell you exactly the same thing as I heard from Sukadev Goswami with rapt attention. And I will explain it to you according to my realization. So you need someone who has heard with rapt attention and who has realizations. But the first thing is, how can we hear with rapt attention? In the purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada said, one can only hear with rapt attention when one is pure in mind. And one can only be pure in mind when one is pure in his habits. So that's important. Pure in habits means we follow the four regulative principles. Otherwise, the mind is too much disturbed by sense gratification. We become attached to sense gratification and the mind becomes disturbed. Like you chant Hare Krishna and the mind wants to do something else. So many things to do today, important. I have to do this, that, and that. And you want to chant. But you don't think of Krishna, you think of all the things you have to do. And that's the problem. Learning to hear with attention means being in the present and not planning ahead, not lamenting. But one must follow the four regulative principles and hear with attention from the right person. So this is the process, but that's not everything. One must hear it from the right person. In the beginning of the Bhagavata, in the second chapter of the first canto, it is said that Nastave Sabatrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavatutamastvi Bhakti Bhavati Naisti. By regular attendance of the class of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is nearly completely destroyed, and loving service to the Supreme Personality of God is established within the heart as an irrevocable fact. So here, two things. Hearing from attending the classes and rendering service to the pure devotee. So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are two Bhagavatas, the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata. And one must hear the book Bhagavat from the person Bhagavat. Otherwise, it will not have the desired effect. One must hear it from the lips of a pure devotee, the one who lives the Bhagavatam. So that's important, because the person Bhagavat has realized the Bhagavatam. He has realized it. So he can explain you how he did it. He knows the challenges. He knows how to bring it in practice. So the Bhagavatam has to be heard from the living Bhagavatam. That's my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj told many times. When he read the Bhagavad Gita for the first time, he was thinking out every page. Now I understood. But then, a few months later, he became the personal servant of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And after 3 months serving Srila Prabhupada, he came to the conclusion, I did not understand anything from Bhagavad Gita. Because he saw how the Bhagavad Gita was lived. So you must learn that from one with realizations that, and he can explain you how we did it. He knows the challenges, everything. That, and that will appear from your lifestyle. So that's an important aspect. We learn the Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavat. And that means two things. We study the purpose of Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada said, I'm in my books that I'm still present in my instructions. So that's one thing. At the same time, we must also have a living spiritual master, because Srila Prabhupada, he speaks about the general principles, but then how to bring this in practice in our particular time, place, and circumstances. We need a living spiritual master and hear from him the Bhagavatam. And that will change your heart. Before I started the Bhakti Vaibhava and the Bhakti Vedanta course in Vrindavan, I read already the Bhagavatam. But then when I went through the course and under the instruction of Burijan Prabhu, Mother Narayani, it really transformed my life. Why did it not transform my life by my first reading of the Bhagavatam? So that's practical experience. Now, that's about, therefore, we must hear daily the Bhagavatam. Have class every day. And read Srila Prabhupada's purpose and discuss them. Attend classes from experienced devotees. That we may not be the pure devotee yet, but many devotees have already become purified to a large extent. And by hearing from them, we make advancement. Now, another point is, what is the focus of the Bhagavatam? Because Narada Muni said to Srila Vyasadeva, you did not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead sufficiently. So what's the center of the Bhagavatam? The Paribhasa Sutra. Etasham Kalapusha Krishna still Bhagavansvyam Indrari Vyakalam Lokam Vitayanti Yugi. That's in this third chapter of the first canto, all these incarnations are described. And then Sutta Goswami said, all these incarnations, they are plenary portions of plenary portions of the Lord. But Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All these incarnations are within him. So he is the center, the focus of the Bhagavatam. That the Bhagavatam also explains what is the highest yoga process, what's the highest practice for humans. So the sages of Namacharanya asked Sutta Goswami, what is the ultimate good? And the answer is, Savaipum saparo dharmo yato bhaktiradoxe ahatu kapateya yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service and to the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So if you perform devotional service, These are two conditions to come to pure devotional service. You must do it always. Never act for selfish, always for the pleasure of Krishna. The goal is to please Krishna. We give the results to Krishna. We do the activity for Krishna. We use our body, mind, and senses always in the service of Krishna. Tad buddhyas, tad atmas, tad nishtas, tad prayana. Sutta Goswami, he said, the sage of Namaskar asked what is the ultimate good. And then in 126 here, Sutta Goswami says, the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which one can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So here it is said, this devotional service, because we just heard the history of the Bhagavatam, and Sukadev and Srila Vyasadeva felt dissatisfied in the heart. So to feel fully satisfied in heart, we must perform devotional service with these two qualities. Always just to please the Lord and never doing anything else besides devotional service, 24 hours. So that ultimate good is what the Bhagavatam gives us. And the process to attain this pure devotion, that's the essence of religion, because the sages asked also what is the essence of religion? And Sutta Goswami gives that essence. Tasma ekana manasa bhagavan sasvatam pati shotapya kirtitavyasya deya pucha sanityata. He said, therefore, with one pointed attention, you should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. So with one pointed attention, you should do these three things: hear, glorify, and remember. You will see at the end of the first canto, Maharaj breaks it after being cursed by Shringi, the unexperienced Brahman boy. He was cursed to die in 7 days. He gave up his kingdom, everything, and sat down the bank of the Ganges Yamuna to fast until death. To fast until death. And then he asked all the sages who came from all over the universe, what's the duty of about a man to die? And they gave all different answers, because they were disciples of Vyasadeva, because Vyasadeva, he saw Kali Yuga was coming, and the memory decreased. So he gave up each disciple a certain part of the Vedas to memorize, a small part, and they all saw the Vedas to their own part of the Vedas, and they gave different answers. But then Sukadev Goswami at the beginning of the second canto comes on the scene, and Maharaj asked the same question to him. And the first thing Sukadev Goswami said, life is not for sense gratification, it's for realizing the absolute truth. And the duty of a man to die, and everyone, is Tasma Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Arishotapya Kirtitapya Smartapya Seshatabhyam. When you want to meet your death in 7 days from now, in a fearless state, you should always glorify, hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, glorify Him, speak about Him, and remembering Him. And that's the essence of religion. That's the essence of religious practice. But then hearing about Krishna means hearing about all the subjects related to Krishna. And that includes the creation, everything. Therefore, the Bhagavatam is about, it gives us, it gives us 10 subject matters, which are described here, and which we will go over this, over these 10 subject matters that, and the first subject matter is, you see, next slide. This is Sarga, the first creation. So it is explained in the Bhagavatam that one of the expansions of Krishna is Karanodakasaya Vishnu. Karanodakasaya Vishnu lies in the ocean, coastal ocean, and by his glance he creates. That's how it starts. So that's the creation of all the universes, and he enters the universes Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. And then Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, then he enters every atom and all the elements of creation, Bhumira, Panala, Vraya, Kama, and Vasha, the 8 elements and the 3 modes, everything is created. But then you have Visarga, that's the creation by Brahma. At the end of the Sarga, Brahma is created from the lotus flower. And Brahma, he receives all these, the souls which are coming up through the stem of this lotus flower, and he gives them to his mind, he gives them bodies. He creates the first bodies. So that's called Visarga. And then you have the maintenance of the universe, Sthana, so here Paradev is lifting up the earth, then we have the next is Poshan, protection, is another subject matter in the Bhagavatam. We will see how Lord Nrsimhadev is protecting Prahlad. Of course, this is Draupadi from the Mahabharata. And then Uti, material desires. Diti and Kashyapa, we hear that story in the Bhagavatam. And then we have Manvantar. Here we have Swayambhuva Muni is instructing his son Priyavrata to become the emperor. But Priyavrata inquired from Narada Muni, is that good for my spiritual life? Because Priyavrata was doing austerities in the Himalayas. And Narada Muni said, no, you remain a brahmachari. But then Brahma came. Brahma came down and instructed Priyavrata to become the emperor. Because he said, I give you the same instruction as I received from my spiritual master. And as long as you follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord, you will not be influenced by the material energy. But we see Swayambhuva Manu, he is the Manvanta, the Manu. Then we have, of course, Isuranukata, all the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. Nrsimhadev. And then we have Nirodha, destruction. There's a destruction of the Yadu dynasty. Prabhas. And then we have liberation, that mukti. So this is the attainment of liberation by Sukadev Goswami. And the 10th is Asraya, the Samambomam, the final shelter of all the living entities. So I'm just searching how I can now get the chat. Yeah, chat is here. Yeah. Now we will do an exercise, and you can use the chat section and chat to everyone. I will see it on the screen. That I will show slides. This slide, that's which of the 10 subject matters of the Bhagavatam does this refer to? Someone wants to write? That, who is that on the screen? We see Maharaj Parikshit in the womb, and Krishna is here entering the womb of Uttara to protect Maharaj Parikshit. So which of the 10 is that? I'll help you. This is Poshan, protection. Poshan, thank you. Yes. And this Krishna, yes. Which of the 10 subjects is this? Krishna and his coward boys. That there can be different subjects in one picture. But who do we see here in front? That's the 10th subject matter. What was the 10th subject matter? That okay. Asraya, yeah. The Simambomam, Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. That it's also Isa Anukata, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And which subject matter does this picture represent? That's, yes, you can. If you raise your hand, you can write your comments in the chat. This is, yes, this is Sarga, the creation, that it is Garbhotakasai Vishnu creating Brahma. That, and which this is Prithu Maharaj, Archana, right? Which subject is this? It's Isha Anukata. This is the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God. That, and here we see Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Kardama Muni by his mystic power creates a mansion in the air with which they travel all over the universe. That Uti, yes, desire. Devotee had this desire. that good. She wanted, yeah. And then here we have Prahlad Maharaj. They tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. Which subject is that? That Poshan, yes. That then, and this subject is Brahma will start his work. Visarga, yes. And this is Matsya-avatar. Which subject is this? Isha Anukata, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God. What happens here? Here we have the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas, and we have Ajamil, that who had chanted the holy name of Krishna. That it's mukti, it's also poshan, protection by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That yeah, it may be different. And then here, this is Lord Shiva. When the demigods and the demons cooperated together, they then they were churning the milk ocean. They cooperated for that to get the nectar of immortality. And the first thing that came out was this hala poison. And it was so deadly, nobody dared to approach it. And they approached Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he concentrated all the poison in his hand and drank it, but it remained as a blue spot on his neck. He did not drink it, it remained there. So but that he protected, Poshan, yeah, protected all the devotees and the demons. And this is Gajendra. What did he do? That is the 10th subject matter. Asraya, he took shelter of the Saman Bona, Supreme Personality of God. And this is Lord Shiva taking the Ganga on his head. Which subject matter is that? He protected the earth because the earth would not able to bear it otherwise. So that's Poshan, yes. Yeah, that and this is Krishna. What's happening here on the battlefield? Bhishma-dev is attacking Arjun and Krishna is protecting Arjun. That yes, yeah, it's Isanukata. It's also Poshan, different, yes. And who is this? Kali. Kali will appear at the end of Kali Yuga and annihilate all the sinful Kali Yuga people. It's Niroda, yes. And here, I forgot the name of the king who gives shelter of this little fish in his hand, that potion, we can say, yes. And then here, Vamandev, that is Anukata, yes, but he comes also to protect all the demigods. That that's beautiful pastimes. And here, Krishna appears before Vasudeva, Devaki. That so sun and bonen, that here we have this is Markandeya Rishi swimming in the ocean of devastation. He sees his little baby Krishna sucking his toe. That's yes. These are Krishna's pastime. He's Anukata, but also this is a summon boning. And here we have the prayers of Nala Kuvera, the Manigriva to Damodar as Asraya, yes, taking shelter of Krishna. That this is Krishna serving his devotee Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna takes shelter of Krishna, Asraya from the summon bonen. That this is Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj going back to Godhead. That Mukti, yes. And he's wondering about his mother, Suniti. And he sees she's in another airplane, in another Viman. And this is, there's two things at the same time for sure. That Krishna, Posham, giving protection to his devotees, and all the devotees take shelter, Asraya, yes. That, and then we have here, yes, Gajendra, leaving the world, taking shelter of Krishna, Asraya. Here we have Krishna killing Puta. That, sun and bonim, but also, yes, Krishna's pastime is Anukata, yes. So we have all these pastimes, all these incarnations. Good. At the end, I wanted to say a few more words about the study of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam itself, in the purpose also, Srila Prabhupada said one should study the Bhagavatam systematically, verse by verse, not jump to later cantos, because the Bhagavatam is structured as such that if you will follow it systematically, you become purified. Healthy, you start to understand, because in the second and the third canto, 2 times whole creation is explained. By that we start to understand that everything is connected with Krishna in this world. That by that we healthy become God conscious. You start to see, yes, oh, there is salt in the ocean. But we cannot live from salt water. So Krishna made an arrangement that the ocean water, it's condensed by the heat and it forms clouds and it goes to the earth and then it rains. We start to understand that this is divine arrangement. Krishna is doing that. We see in an apple so many seeds, and every seed has the potency to create an apple tree. We see that Krishna, this is divine arrangement. Krishna is everywhere in his in. And Gandhi, we connect by hearing that, how Krishna is the active element in this universe, in this material nature. That, and then we learn further about, in the sixth canto, about surrender and the chanting of the holy name at Shamil. Seventh canto, we learn about what is a pure devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. That eighth canto, we learn about surrender, Bali Maharaj surrender. Ninth canto, we learned about Rantidev and austerities, and we learn about Lord Ramachandra. And then, when we come at the end of the ninth canto, we are purified. And then we can understand the 10th canto. Because at the beginning of the 10th canto, that Maharaj Pariksit asked, tell me more about Krishna. Because in the 9th canto, the Soma dynasty and the Sun dynasty had been described, Surya and Chandra dynasties. And in the Moon dynasty, Krishna appeared and he says, please tell me more about Krishna. But Sukadev Goswami said, Nirvita Paryamanat, that Nirvita Paryamanat, Bhavas Takshotra Manobhiramat. Are you free from material desires? Did you become purified sufficiently by taking your medicine of hearing about Krishna? Are you free from lust? Otherwise, you cannot understand Krishna, the 10th canto. So this process, if properly followed in the association of devotees, that hearing from the person Bhagavat daily with attention, it will purify us and it will bring us to that level. But we have to go systematically. First, study the lotus feet of Krishna, first and second canto. At the end of the second canto, Srila Prabhupada writes that if you are not free from gross sex desire, at the end of the second canto, you should go back to the first canto and study again until you are free from this gross sex desire. And then you can continue with the third canto. So these are all important instructions. If we hear the Bhagavatam, we should hear with rapt attention. Taking it as very, very important in our life. This is our priority. My Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Sarmaharaj, he used to say, and he instructs all his disciples, and unfortunately none of us can do it, but we do our best. He said, you should always, the day before the Bhagavatam class, memorize the verse. That every day. So that's really getting into the point of deeply understanding this Bhagavatam and hearing from the person Bhagavat. That today we can do that in different ways. You have SrimadBhagavatamclass.com. It has so many classes of senior devotees. But first we hear the classes of Prabhupada. And you can hear classes on other senior speakers so by that we are also hearing from the person Bhagavat, especially if we hear from Prabhupada and the senior devotees. Because hearing the Bhagavatam in Nectar of Devotion, in Nectar of Devotion, we are Rupa Goswami says, yes, he gives 64 items of devotional service, and the 5 most important items of devotional service is the 5 most important items of devotional service. One of these 5 is hearing the Bhagavatam daily. Chant the holy name, associate with devotees, hear the Bhagavatam, worship the deity. Worship the deity. And yes. And so these are most important items of devotional service and must be included every day. Of course, the Prabhupada gave us the Krishna book, but the Krishna book is different from the 10th canto. It presents the Krishna book as such with philosophy between in such a way that even a neophyte understands it correctly. But it's not going so deep as the 10th canto. The study of the 10th canto, one must be really qualified. This is the mercy of Prabhupada. He gives us Krishna book and he explains it as such that we will not misunderstand it. So that's a preliminary study of the 10th canto, we may say. But then when you come to the 10th canto, verse by verse, then you will get really deeper into the Bhagavatam. But it's important to read the Krishna book also. Srila Prabhupada advised every evening to read the Krishna book before going to sleep. And then your night becomes spiritual, because in the morning you get up and you think, the first thing you think of is the last thing you did the day before. So that spiritualizes our night also. Are there any other questions?
Hare Krishna. Would somebody like to come online and ask? I don't think anybody written any questions. If you'd like to ask any questions to Maharaj or just give you realization, please come online now. Okay, while we're waiting, Maharaj, I have 1 or 2 questions, and this will give others a chance to think while they're waiting. One question is, Maharaj, Brahmlok is mentioned in Canto 9 is transcendental to the 3 modes of nature. So, although Lord Brahma, he was illusioned, wasn't he, in his past time? So, why is that? I mean, that's why. Plus, is it actually? How is it transcendental to modes of nature when it's like part of the material world?
Of course, that was explained by Brahma himself. He said, as long as one focuses, if as long as one focus, or he said to Priyavatamas, as long as you focus on the order of the spiritual master, you will not be in illusion. But Brahma is in a very dangerous position. He is the manifestation, or is in control of the rajas, the mode of passion, and you have to deal with that energy. Although he acts in devotional service, 1 second that you deviate and you become attracted by the material energy and you become controlled. But we see Brahma, when he created his beautiful daughter Vak, he became for a moment sexually attracted. But still, by his power of his devotional service, he could give it up quickly. So that's also a lesson for us. Sometimes we may become attracted to something, but then very soon we give it up because we are engaging in devotional service. Lord Brahma is a pure devotee, but Krishna uses him to show that how dangerous it is how dangerous it is first to deal with the material energy, and so that we should always act in pure Krishna consciousness, always without interruption. One interruption and we become attracted. So that's one thing. The other thing Krishna was showing with Lord Brahma is, if you try to understand with your intelligence who Krishna is, you become bewildered, because that's not a process. The process is our brains are material. With material intelligence, you cannot understand something spiritual. Therefore, the transcendental knowledge we get must be realized. And that realization is given to the heart. Krishna says, Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mama Piyantati. I give you this realization that I give you this realization when you serve me with a little love. Bhakti Amama Vichanti Yavya Sasvi Tattva Tattva Tattvam Tattva Togatva Vishate Tatanantram. I can only be known by devotional service, Krishna says. But Brahma was thinking, on my own force, I'm going to understand who this Krishna is, this coward boy. But Krishna taught him a lesson. So he used Brahma for his pastimes. That does not mean that Brahma was not a pure devotee anymore, because Krishna used him. That Arjuna was also a pure devotee. And Krishna used him also as an instrument and brought him into illusion so that he would ask the right question. But this illusion was spiritual illusion, not yoga maya, not the man maya. There's so many pastimes of that. Now there is another question here. I'm reading it. Sometimes when studying Srimad Bhagavatam, there can be different kinds of stories. How should we understand these from a spiritual perspective? What should our mood be? For example, Daksha's anger to Lord Shiva, Kardamuni and devotee enjoying for so long. Yeah, so these things are there. Yeah, Daksha's anger to Lord Shiva. That means that Daksha was envious. And Krishna shows in these pastimes, the danger of being envious. Envy is the main reason why we are here. We are here because we are envious of Krishna. We wanted to be the controller and the enjoyer, which is Krishna's position. And it destroys everything. And Shiva got in difficulty. Daksha got in difficulty. Kardamuni and devotee enjoying for so long. Yes, it was a desire of Devahuti, and Kardamamuni, he fulfilled her desire. But what was the result for Devahuti? At the end, she got a son, that Kapila. But when Kardamamuni gave her a son, he was leaving, and he said, "Yes, we have enjoyed so long together, but I want something better from you. I know you should teach me liberation, to give me liberation to that." But Kardamamuni said, "Yes, Kapila Dev, your son will." He left her a son who would teach her pure devotional service. So it shows that devotee, after enjoying so long, no satisfaction. So that is something we have to learn. Enjoying, and it doesn't give us satisfaction at the end. That there's another question. Practically, when trying to balance our daily reading between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, do you recommend a daily time to each? Yes, that's explained by Prabhupada. Prabhupada said 2 hours reading a day. In the morning, 1 hour Bhagavatam class. In the evening, Bhagavad Gita class. And that should be the minimum that entering the day we do service based on the scriptures. But we should organize our day like a sandwich. In the morning, Srimad Bhagavatam. In the evening, Bhagavad Gita. These two are connected. That the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all spiritual instructions, and the Bhagavatam helps us to bring that in practice. That's the spiritual culture, how to bring it in practice. Is there any other question?
Yes, Maharaj. So some of the stories that we have faith in them because they are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we try and understand them. But sometimes it's very hard to uh, have faith in these. Like you have one example comes to mind in Canto 6, King Chitraketu. He had 10 million wives. Like sometimes you get this and you try to explain this to a new person. How would we go around explaining that somebody had 10 million wives? It's hard to comprehend
Yeah,
sometimes.
yes, we must admit we are limited in our comprehension, but by the mercy of Krishna, everything is possible. That Krishna can empower everyone to do that. That's one thing to learn in the Bhagavatam. Krishna's potencies are unlimited. That there's no limit to his powers. And these powers, they are shown in the Bhagavatam. And because of our material conditioning, we say, "Oh, these are just stories. We don't believe in them." That means we are doubting the unlimited potency of the Supreme Lord. But when one studies systematically the Bhagavatam under guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, that then follows this process of hearing from the lips of pure devotees, verse by verse, one will be convinced of the unlimited potency of the Lord. And then one understands, for Krishna nothing is impossible, nor for his devotees, which he empowers. Yes. Any other question?
Okay, anybody else would like to ask a question? Okay, maybe not. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for the guidance on hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a wonderful class. And thank you for a wonderful quiz as well. And there's only one clay winner we had today, Amy Anand Mataji. She answered all the questions. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that. And Maharaj, would you mind doing nursing aarti for us before we go?
yeah.
Thank
I,
you so much,
yeah.
Maharaj.
Good.
Sri Hari Bol to you, Maharaj. Hari Bol. Hari
Uh,
Bol. Hari Bol.
Namaste Narasingaya.
Namaste Narasingaya.
Bala da 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 ine. Da 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 ine. Hiranyakasipu vakshaha. Hiranyakasipu vakshaha. Siddhatankanakalaye. Siddhatankanakalaye. Ito Nishinga Parato Nishinga. Ito Nishinga Parato Nishinga. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishinga. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishinga. Bahe Nishinga. Hidaye Nishinga. Bahe Nishinga. Hidaye Nishinga. Nishingamadem Sharanam Papade. Nishingamadem Sharanam Papade. Tabakara Kamala Varena Kama Bhuta Shingam Dalita Iranyakasipu Tanu Vengam Keshavadita Narahari Upadai Jagadisare. Jai Jagadeshare, Jai Jagadeshare, Tavaka Kamalavare, Nakamabuta Shingam, Dalita Iranyakasipu, Tanubringam. Keshavadita Narahari Upadai Jagadisare. Jaya Jagadisare. Jaya Jagadisare. Jaya Nishingadev. Jaya Nishingadev. Nishingadev. Jaya Nishingadev. Jaya Pralat Maharaj. Jaya Pralat Maharaj. Pralat Maharaj, Shila Pralat Maharaj, Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki, Bhakta Pralat Maharaj ki, Shila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki, Shri
Jai.
Gaura Premanande, Hare Krishna, Jai.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maharaj. It's wonderful having your association, very inspiring. And I'm sure it's inspired us all to read more, read Srimad Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita, and absorb the essence of the ripened fruit. So thank you so much for guiding us on there, and hope we can follow your instructions.
Jai, Shila Prabhupada ki,
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj. And see you very soon again. Thank you, Maharaj.
Jai.
Hari Bol. Jai. So just some notices for next Sunday. We have Yadvinda Prabhu. His Grace Yadvinda Prabhu is coming next Sunday, and the class is on Sri